So we are presenting goal-oriented, focus therapy techniques. And it's really about EFT. I'm not sure how many of you heard of EFT. So we're going to go over all of those different things and what you're going to learn and what the presentation is going to address. And pretty much it's, what is it? What are the different types of basic emotions, stages of EFT and treatment? And then what you're going to learn is different techniques, how to combat those negative emotions and feelings. So right here we have some types of basic emotions that people go through on a regular basis. You have happiness, you have sadness, you have disgust, you have anger, you have fear, you have surprise. So we're going to focus mainly on some of these negative emotions that people go through on a daily basis. 1 second here. Okay. There we go. So what diagnosis basic emotions can lead to? Worry equals anxiety equals panic. Sadness equals depression equals low self-esteem. Anger equals conflict equals impulse control disorders. And basically, these are the different diagnoses that happen. So worry can equal an anxiety, general anxiety disorder or a panic disorder. When you're constantly worrying about things every single day, worrying about maybe work or cleaning the house or being a good student or just whatever it is that you do in your daily life. Sadness and depression. We've seen a lot of that happening, especially with COVID. A lot of low self-esteem, that's what it leads to as well. People have been stuck in the house. When COVID first started, no one got their nails done, no one got their lashes done, no one got their hair done, and they were probably feeling pretty bad. So, that's something that spiraled even more so. And now we're seeing the gist of everything that's happening with that. Anger and conflict, it really leads to impulse control issues. When you have a lot of anger, you just start to lash out. You can lash out, you can start arguing, you can just start doing things and not even realize that all of these different things are happening. So in psychology, emotion is frequently characterized as a complex state of feeling that causes physical and psychological changes that impact thought and behavior. So the idea behind that is the first thing that's going on is what's going on in your mind. If you think that you are upset about something, your behavior is going to reflect that. What is goal-oriented emotion-focused therapy techniques? Let's break it down and start with the emotion therapy part first, EFT. So who developed EFT? Sue Johnson. EFT began in the mid-1980s as an approach to helping couples. EFT was originally formulated and tested by Sue Johnson and Les Greenberg in 1985. And the first manual for emotionally focused couples therapy was published in 1988. So couples therapy is essential in EFT, but at the same time, it's individual therapy can be done as well with it. Emotion-focused therapy focuses on controlling the negative emotional responses to stress. So for example, anger, worry, sadness, and fear. And we're going to go over a little bit of that and some scenarios on what that can look like for a particular person in a particular day. So just a few stages of EFT we're going to start with first. So stage 1, identify the conflict and the issue. Stage 2, identify the cycle where the conflict or the issue is expressed and experienced. Stage 3, Access unacknowledged emotion. So for example, I feel anger and I didn't know that I was feeling that. Stage 4, reframe it. Example, discuss it, address it, and see it for what it really is. So we're going to actually go through a scenario of all of these stages, and I think that some of you will be able to identify with that. Okay. So for example, stage 1, identify the conflict and the issue. Scenario example, you don't understand why your boyfriend ignores you when he comes home from work, right? So he comes home from work, he ignores you, and you're just like, man, why? I haven't seen you all day, right? I miss him. So stage 2, identify the cycle where the conflict issue is expressed and experienced. When he comes, you've missed him and you want to snuggle and he doesn't. So there you have 2 things. Number 1, the issue, you're being ignored. And then number 2, you're not understanding why you're being ignored. And this is where the identified conflict and issue is expressed. Okay, because you want to snuggle, he doesn't want to snuggle. He has his own feelings about whatever's going on. Maybe he had a bad day. I don't know what the case may be. But the focus really isn't on him at the moment. It's more so on you. So in stage 3, you're accessing unknowledged emotions. You may not realize the feelings that you're feeling at the moment, and it needs to be identified. So you could be feeling anger, you could be feeling sadness from all of this. So when he doesn't want to snuggle you, you immediately get upset. You didn't realize that you were angry about it, which leads to damaging actions. So, for example, name calling or ignoring, or maybe when he comes home, you're not there. That could be something as well. And it's just the behavior. So, first, when we talked about earlier, is the thought process and then the behavior. If you're thinking that you are upset, this is something that's upsetting you, the next thing that comes is your reaction to it, your body reaction. How is this making you feel? But you're not necessarily identifying at that moment what it is. You just know that you feel some type of way and you are reacting to it. And he may not even realize what it is as well. So, stage 4, reframing it, discussing it, addressing it, and seeing it for what it is. So, going to the therapist, for example, and seeing the light, right? You are able to go through these difficult memories and recall these incidences and address it. So, the idea behind EFT or GOEFTT would be for you to sit down and explain exactly what's going on through these scenarios, through these memories with the therapist. And the therapist will then, in turn, help you to see what's going on step by step by step by step by step. So the GO for goal oriented, the goal comes after the previous stages. So now that you know what negative feelings you're experiencing and exhibiting, you now need to combat it. This is your goal. How do you pretty much control yourself? How do you control your emotions? How do you control your behavior? How do you turn everything around and say, okay, you know what? This is the conflict. This is what I'm feeling. And then what is it that you need to do? So these are 5 ways to use EFT techniques. Some of these are used with the accompany of a therapist, and others could be done at home. So reframing your perception. The perception that, you're upset. The boyfriend comes home, he ignores you. You're like, okay, he ignores me. I'm angry. Why does he ignore me? Well, the best way to do that is to sit down and talk to him, right? And say, okay, so how was your day? What's going on? Talk to me. You don't want to come home and you don't want to snuggle. And I haven't seen you all day and I miss you. That's something that you could be thinking about, where you can look at things on a different perspective and say, well, maybe he had a bad day, or maybe there's something going on with him that he hasn't said. And so you have to think about it and look at it in a different light. Meditation. Meditation helps in a lot of different ways. Waking up in the morning, listening to music. And some people, they say, oh, I can't do that. I can't meditate. I just can't. Like, there's so many thoughts coming into my mind. So that's totally understandable. One of the things that I always recommend is a guided meditation. And a guided meditation will walk you through everything that's going on. So, and an example of that would be, you're sitting there, you're either sitting up with your legs crossed or you're laying down in your bed and you're listening to some music with someone speaking. And they're just telling you to listen to your breathing, listen to your heart, feel your stomach move up and move down. Take a deep breath, inhale, exhale. And so if you're listening to that, you're going to start focusing on your mind and focusing on your body and focusing on your breathing. And when you do that, you're meditating. You're meditating. And there's all different types of meditation. So for those of you that have trouble where you feel like you can't do it, that is another way. Optimism. Optimism is an awesome way to go, but a lot of people are not optimistic, right? You have some optimistic people, and then you have realism, and then you have pessimism. And so optimism and realism kind of need to go together in order for everything to work. And just being pretty much positive about the outcome of everything is the most important thing. Recognizing negative distortions. So negative talk about yourself. Example, when the boyfriend comes home, he doesn't want to snuggle. Now you might feel, well, are you not pretty enough? Maybe you feel you've gained some weight and he just doesn't find you attractive anymore. Maybe, and now you're basically having all of these things that are internal. They're internal, and you're turning on yourself and you're having all of this negative talk. And that's not healthy. So learning how to turn that around is very important. And basically, it's catching yourself in that moment. The moment you sit there and say, oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I'm no good. You stop and then you speak positive. You turn it around and you say, you know what I just said or what I just thought is not true. There's good things about me. Maybe you have really pretty white teeth. Maybe you have, really pretty hair. Maybe, you can find these different attributes about you that you love and that your significant other loves and that your friends love and your families love. They could say that you have the most wonderful laugh they've ever heard. They can say that, you are a person that will be there for someone else. So, and those wonderful things are not ugly. Those things are beautiful. So you need to be able to recognize any of those negative thoughts, what we call negative distortions, and change that around to positivity, positive affirmations. A lot of people will get sticky notes and write, certain things on there like, love yourself today. They'll write on there that, you are beautiful today. You are rocking today. You are the best person ever, and they will just stick it wherever. You can stick it on the shower curtain, stick it on the medicine cabinet mirror, stick it on the toilet, stick it on your closet door, wherever you're going to see it, because it's going to make you smile, but it's also going to make you think about how beautiful you are and what a beautiful person you are on the inside that day. And it will also help to kick those negative distortions out. So that's something that's really, really important. There's a lot of people that really struggle with that. And that's what I recommend doing. So journaling your thoughts and your feelings. Journaling isn't for everyone, but some people really like it. Some people really enjoy it. Some people have never done it. And when you journal, you're able to get all of those thoughts and feelings out there. Sometimes you can get thoughts and feelings out through writing better than you can through speaking, and it helps too, because if there's something that you need to say to someone, it's like writing them a letter, and you can decide if you're going to give it to them to read, or you can not give it to them to read, or you can read it to them yourself, or you could just keep it for yourself. But it does help with just getting those thoughts and feelings out there, and it also reduces stress. It reduces depression. All of these different ways reduce stress and reduce depression. So having a more just, optimism, happy, upbeat, meditating maybe in the morning or in the evening, reframing your perception and just thinking about how important, maybe someone else's, thoughts, or maybe they're thinking something else. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's them, and kicking out those negative distortions and writing your thoughts and feelings. So that's huge. So treatment, EFT is designed to be implemented in 8 to 20 sessions of therapy. So, you come into my office. I actually do teletherapy, so I don't have an office anymore. I had one for 8 years, as the speaker said earlier, and I sold the business, and now I'm solely teletherapy. And it's interesting because it happened right as COVID happened. It's almost as if I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't. And so it's easier for someone to just sit down with me over the phone or via video chat and let me know, what they're feeling and what's going on with them. And I get to see them every single week. And if this is a treatment that I'm going to use, it should last between 8 to 20 sessions. And if not, if they haven't picked it up by the 20th session, then we will start over and we will try something slightly new, try something slightly different. The 5 different ways to combat this, those are just 5. There's a whole lot more. We could go on and on and on about this all day long. So, I think that this is very helpful for the community and for people that are going through the struggle of their basic emotions. And especially, as said before, with COVID and everything happening now, with that and the vaccines and blah, 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 that affects the psyche heavily. There's a lot of people that they're sick of wearing their masks. They're sick of just having to go through the unnormal and unknown every day. And it pushes these negative emotions on them. And there's just certain things that we can't do every day anymore. And so with that being said, all of these things happen. And I think that you end up seeing the therapist a little sooner than later, just to kind of set everything right with what's going on in your mind. And I think that that would be very helpful. So, and then pretty much I'm open for questions and answers at this time. So I've concluded my presentation. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Tracy. How you doing today? That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Mrs. Moore. It's fantastic to have professionals such as yourself readily available for support when needed. And again, we can't thank you enough for that. You mentioned the tough, more isolated times we've been going through as a result of COVID. Dr. Moore, what would you say to anyone who is hesitant to reach out for support today, and particularly those who might be struggling with mental illness for the first time? Is there still a stigma for a lot of people to reach out for help?
There is a stigma still. It's starting to get broken. Mm-hmm. I can see that over the years, which is great. There are people that they're opening up more, and they're reaching out more. But yeah, there is a horrible stigma that therapy is for crazy people, and that's exactly what's said. And that's not the case. Therapy is for everyone. I always say that, because you can have a difficult time in your life. You can have a difficult moment that you're going through, and you don't want to talk to friends and you don't want to talk to family because sometimes they don't really give the best advice. Sometimes they just don't understand. They're not you. They'll never be you. And they're going to view you differently, and they're going to sometimes judge you. And that's not comfortable. So, with that being said, therapy is very, very important to have. And things, divorce, new children, blended families, work issues, COVID issues, all of these different things are really important. And it could be a small snippet in your life where you just need to get through it. Yeah. So, if that's the case, then therapy should be sought.
Dr. Moore, we're getting all kinds of lovely comments here in the chat panel. You must have just a beautiful voice to listen to, because people really seem to enjoy taking in what you had to say today. And what's the best way for them to get in touch with you if they wanted to do so after the show?
So if they wanted to get in touch with me, there's lots of different ways. So I have to, be honest, this is very new to me as far as getting on live. Mm-hmm. So this is my first live event, but I will actually start doing some YouTubing, and I just opened up a Twitter account. I'm like learning how to tweet, which is me and my husband laugh about it. And so I'm learning how to tweet. And, I have a Facebook account, and basically it's drmoorestellatherapy.com. That is the website. And the phone number is 702-815-9494. And that's the best way to pretty much get in touch with me. I also just created a new email for social media, and it's dmteletherapy.com for Dr. Moore, teletherapy.com. So those are the best ways to get in touch with me directly. When they go to the website, if they're very interested in doing a therapy session, they can actually go on there, they can register, they can fill out the forms. And once they've done that, I'll see that, I'll contact them, and we'll have a chat about, what's going on. I do free consultations as well. So that's something that they can look forward to.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that information. We did put your phone number in the chat for those who would be interested in reaching out. And again, thank you for not the email address, the website as well. Enjoy the remainder of your conference, Dr. Moore. It was really a pleasure having you on with us today.
Thank you for having me, Dana.